hometown kid, Joe Idone. Joe, I'm very excited for this weekend. I'm very excited to have you on Contenders.
Doing good, man. Very excited for TIB. You know, it's one of my favorites, so fired up to get this thing going.
Yeah, I know this is, I mean, what I know you're more of a West Palm guy, but I know you were at the Players last year. I know you had the media pass. Has this become like, a top 3 event for you? Would you consider this a home game for yourself, Joe?
I don't know about home game, but it's one of my favorites. Like I haven't been to a lot of the majors, but I would consider this as close as I've been to like that type of feel in terms of just the field strength. Obviously, we know the course; it's exceptional, it's immaculate, and the last 5 or so years since they've switched it to March. It's been big names kind of duking it out at the top, and I think we're probably going to get that again this year. So great tournament, always electric finish. I think 16 through 18 is the best finishing 3-hole stretch that we see all year. So I'm fired up about it. Definitely has some Florida elements to it, but a good little journey for me that unfortunately I'm not going to be able to make this year, but last year was awesome.
Yeah, I'm sorry you're not going to be able to make it to the course this year. I remember the media pass. You're in there. It's a big event, so I know that was a big deal for you last year to make it over there.
Yeah, it was fun. It was an experience like I haven't had at any other tournament. The media center is huge. Like the merchandise tent is like walking into a grocery store. It's massive. The amount of people they're able to pack in there, and just the way the course is laid out, how it kind of will weave back into little sections. It's easy to get around. It's easy to see whether you have a media pass or not. My family hates going to the Cognizant because, like, if you're not right up next to the green, you don't really have a good spot to see. But the stadium aspect of it is really, really cool. And it just looks, there's not a blade of grass out of place on TV or in person.
No, it is definitely top 5 course on the PGA Tour, even maybe top 3 that I want to visit and go see, because everyone that goes is kind of blown away by it. And obviously it was made for PGA Tour golf, and other TPC courses are, but I think Sawgrass has a different feel and it's truly made for that. So it's definitely a place and a spot I want to go down to eventually. I don't know when I will, but I'm definitely, it's on my radar because I've only heard great things about going in person.
It's sick. You should definitely come down. We should make a journey of it. It just didn't happen to work out this year with, it was just a timing thing with stuff. My wife has to leave for a work trip this week, so I'm kind of assuming some daddy duty is additional, but I'm going to be jealous as soon as it starts on Thursday that I'm not there.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely looking forward to it. So we had a Siggy last week, Bay Hill Invitational. Russ Henley gets it done. I know that you were sitting pretty, Friday afternoon. All right, top 2 on the leaderboard. And from the kind of the jump Saturday, they did not seem to have it. The vibes were not high in the group. What were your overall thoughts about Bay Hill last week?
I kind of saw that come. That's why you got to fire the tweets off when you can, when you think you've got a good card, because I didn't see them, either of those two, holding on. We kind of know their track record. Had a Jason Day, gave me a little bit of the sweat out of nowhere kind of Saturday and Sunday. So I was rooting for that. And then when he dumped one in the lake on 16, it was all over for me. But impressive victory. We didn't see the biggest shot of the tournament, or we kind of cut into it, but it was a massive comeback for Russ, right? I mean, yeah. Morikawa made the turn either up 3 or up 4. I can't remember, but he slowly sort of chipped away, and it didn't feel like Colin blew it. It just felt like he let things slip away, and unlike normal what we're used to from Russ Henley, he stepped into the limelight, made a couple big putts when he had to. For some reason, I really thought he was missing that little 4-footer on 18. We were going back.
I was more worried about the one on 17. That was just, I tweeted, he's missed that putt a million times.
He came through though. You can see how much it meant to him. It has been a while for Russ, and I think he's now up to I think he's 7th in the world rankings now. So it took about a year for him to actually catch up to what Data Golf was telling us that he was, like a top 10 player. But He's here. He's here.
Yeah, I think it's kind of a matter, and I think it's a good juxtaposition between the two. I think it's water finding its level on two sides of the spectrum. And I think when you look at Russ, when you look how good he's, not since the beginning of his career, but over the last 3, 4 years, he's been a very elite talent and a premier iron player, which is the most important skill on the PGA Tour, that just
Yeah.
hadn't won, but had a lot of really good top five finishes at big events, three top tens in majors last year. And the data and the iron play and the consistency was all over the place. But he was a guy that might not think to get across the line. He was due for a big win like this. He was due to win a signature event, and maybe not a major, but he was due for this. And if you put yourself in the mix enough, you're gonna kind of chip your way into a fucking win eventually. Like, it's just gonna happen. And that's exactly what happened. And I think on the other side of the spectrum, Colin, when he came out, won every single time he was in contention.
Yeah.
And if you look at Colin's career at 28 and you say, okay, you have 6 PGA Tour wins, you have 2 major championships, that is more than you could ever hope for out of a 28-year-old's career.
Right.
And when he was getting it done so early and winning majors and winning WGCs and, winning the concession and stuff like that, it just was never gonna happen at that rate for his entire 20s. And the amount he's won, since the Open is truly preposterous. But I just think if he didn't get those early wins, it would be a lot worse. But I really just think it's like water kind of finding its level on two sides of the spectrum there.
Yeah, look, you're right. You can need a lucky break. Things have to go your way. It's not always about guys crumbling or the Henley chip in, but even Morikawa's hold a bunker shot on one. Like, you need those chip ins. You need those moments where you somehow flip a bogey into a birdie and you get a lucky break for you to come through. So yes, he did have an overwhelming amount of success early that was probably disproportionate to how he was performing on a weekly level. And it's kind of found its level, but he's going to be right up there again this week. He's got such a controllable skill set, which is something that we see from Henley. Like, Henley's kind of cheap Morikawa in that he's never going to find trouble. He's in such control of his golf ball seemingly at all times. You're just hoping to find a week where, you're going to be able to compete eye to eye with the power hitters on the PGA Tour, which is a course like TPC Sawgrass that we have this week. And then you've got to putt well, and you've got to make your fair share of 5-footers down the stretch on those 50-50 putts. And Henley happened to come through, and it was his week, but it's not like we hadn't seen him miss his fair share of those over the last year. So it was good to see him kind of come through. Like you mentioned, he had certainly been trending for a while. So it was something we saw coming, but I think some of us, myself included, started to lose faith that he was going to be able to capitalize on his awesome form.
Yeah, and I think Colin really lost the tournament on 16 every day. He was in that bunker every single day. You're one of the most accurate drivers in the world. You're not a bomber. You have to be accurate. That is a par 4. Like, you have to be in the fairway there. You'll have a 7-iron in. And I think on Thursday he was in that bunker and put it in the water. I think he probably made par or bogey. But regardless, that whole loss in the tournament. And, I know we talked about, he kind of overachieved early in his career, but it's been a really long time since he's won in the States, which is relevant considering he plays 99% of his golf tournaments in the States. We've seen him, on, a couple of occasions in big events, the Century, the Hero, the PGA, the Masters, Memorial this year, not be able to get it done in the stretch. Like, when does it become a concern? I understand he has an unbelievable career, and I'm kind of contradicting what I said earlier, but does Colin have a winning problem currently, and do you think it's in his head?
I don't think he does. I think it's happening soon for him. I think that, one of the things I wish that I would see out of Colin, so I kind of questioned this offseason, I kind of had some takes that I think distance is holding him back, and it's something that seems very achievable. Look, he doesn't have to turn himself into Bryson DeChambeau, but you see guys like Justin Thomas and smaller frame guys who are able to generate speed on the golf ball. I think he should be searching for that. And I think he kind of has. Like there were some bunkers, even Bones was saying, like, I don't know if he's got this carry, and he was clearing them easily. But what I will say is, comes back to like, coincidentally, it's like the Arnold Palmer saying of like, you have to play boldly to win. Russ went for it. There was a lot of par fours on the front where Russ was taking driver and it wasn't necessarily paying off, right? But he's taking driver on an aggressive line over the water and leaving himself like 90 yards in. That one, I think the third hole that turns all the way left. Morikawa takes like 4-iron and lays way back, and Henley's way in front of him. Both par fives, like 6 and 16, I realized was kind of dictated by that bunker. Henley bogeyed both par fives on the front because he was playing so aggressively and going for them in 2. And I guess my point is even though that didn't pay off, I think the mindset of really him going out there and saying, I'm going to play uber aggressive and try to win this tournament ultimately caught up to him. And the conservative nature of Colin basically playing all of them as 3-shotters caught up to him as well. Like 16, he really didn't have a chance, but number 6, he laid way back. He did not go for that green. So I just think, play boldly. You want to win the tournament. I think Russ Henley did that throughout and pulled driver a ton and was willing to take on the consequence and risk. And at the end of 18 holes, it worked out for him.
Yeah, no, and again, I think it's, is Russ Henley a guy that people get excited for? Did he show literally an ounce of emotion? He looked like me walking off the course after a 92. Like, he was not, fired up in any regard. And I really loved his honesty after him just being like, I was so nervous. Because you watch them, and it doesn't seem like that. And we've had rounds where we have to get a score, and you get really nervous. It's hard to play golf when you're nervous. But to go through that final stretch and be that nervous and feel like you can't speak, like, it was just very relatable from Russ. And I understand that is not a sexy thing or, like, super sick. Holy fuck, like, mad stories are going to be written about Russ Henley. But I did think that was relatable. Would it have been better if, Rory or Bryson or someone won? Like, yeah, sure, you got me there. Yeah. But I don't know. I just thought it was a bit relatable at the end. Kids coming out. I'm a family guy. I got my little ones at home, my ex-wife and everything. Like, it was nice to see that. But it was a nice scene. But, was not the most compelling tournament on the back nine other than that chip-in.
Were you fired up when they kind of like missed the chip on the coverage? Did that annoy you?
Like, it's so past the point of like even being worked up about or anything. I just thought it was completely hilarious. And I talked about, so I will Vic lap that not that it's actually Vic, this is a joke. I made it a point last week to be like, yo, NBC is awful. Like, CBS has brought it this year. It feels like a real golf broadcast, and it's really good. And they might have the same amount of commercials, but it feels way different. And I just want to tell you, NBC sucks. And for them to do that, I mean, it was like a preconceived ad. It was clearly there. Tommy Roy is just a clown, and they're on some bad contracts, and it's just awful. And NBC has the majority of the tournaments. It's not like, oh, well, they kind of go back and forth. It's like, nah, like majority of the year we have NBC.
And I like the guys they have. I love Bones. I kind of like Brad Faxon. I think Smiley. I think that part's good. But like, whatever happened to what you promised us with like more commercial free segments? That didn't happen. I thought it was kind of ironic that I saw you picked it up, that it like went sort of mainstream with like Portnoy and stuff like that, complaining about golf coverage. It's funny. I think they're starting to like, I can feel the momentum of the general golf audience kind of like building on this. Like it's like invasive of our viewing experience to just show us nonstop commercials and not give us golf shots. And we've been calling it out forever. It's like here in Florida, 20 years ago, they like dropped these like pythons in the Everglades, right? Nobody cared. They're invasive. They're eating everything out there. Only the hardcore like Everglades sickos cared. But now these things are like creeping into neighborhoods and start eating Carol's cat and like taking out dogs and scaring little kids. And I feel like this is that moment in like professional golf right now where people are realizing that this is a real problem and this is out of control. And the more people that pick it up, especially big names like Portnoy and sports media, it's starting to gain some sort of traction, and hopefully NBC can make some adjustments.
Yeah, I mean, it hopefully it was a positive, because it
Yeah.
couldn't have been a worse moment for NBC. Like, genuinely could not have been a worse moment.
It had to be so embarrassing for them. And those guys
NBC.
calling it that they missed that for a Rolex commercial after promising us
Yeah.
during the week, we're going to show you more golf. We missed the leaders on 16. We cut away from them walking up the 18th fairway.
They always do that. It's just like one more ad, ad, baby. Like, just a quick one. Like, right as they're walking up 18, like, let's not set the scene at all. Let's get one more in, like, couple more dollars. And what it obviously sucks. And Players is usually a very, very good viewing broadcast experience. Like, this is like actually good to watch on TV. And I know No Laying Up was talking about it. It's kind of their take, but it's like, NBC can do this, but they're just confined by these crazy contracts, and it is what it is. Other two quickly tours. Other golf events going on. Carl Phillips wins in Puerto Rico. Was that on your radar at all? I know he's a very popular guy. He was very good on the Corn Ferry last year. Nick Dunlap stole his girl. Parades are out on TGL and wins in Puerto Rico. He's a talent. He was very, very impressive. I was pretty impressive with his game, and I think he will be a guy on the PGA Tour coming up.
Yeah, I had Carl a couple of weeks ago. Me and Matt Gannon were talking about it. We liked Carl. I did not bet him. I didn't bet anything in Puerto Rico this week. Happy for him to win. I think he's super talented. People who I respect that like follow, like I talked to Ryan Ballingy and Sky and stuff like that, who understand these Corn Ferry guys better than I do coming up. Spoke very highly of Carl throughout. One thing I'm disappointed with in Carl, and just seeing the highlights of that final putt, you got to wear red on Sunday red, and you're wearing light blue and navy blue pants. Like, that's part of the brand, dude. You got to throw on red and black.
Maybe there's some we're talking a lot about contracts. Maybe there's some contract requirement in it that he can't wear like hard red on Sunday. Like, that's kind of Tiger's thing. He doesn't want to test.
He's the only guy besides Tiger. He doesn't even play. The brand is Sunday red, and he wins not wearing Sunday red.
I didn't think about that. Great point. Absolutely great point. I was up Friday night up till 4 a.m. watching Live Hong Kong. I had Paul Casey, literally bet him on a whim. He was first round leader. I always bet my outrights first round leader. Didn't do it on Live. Can't really be upset with myself just because I bet Live like 20 minutes before it started. Look, I gotta say, if I don't like Live. I don't like the Saudis, like what you got me. I got to say, if you have a guy in the mix, Live's pretty fun to watch. Like, they show you every shot. They're showing commercials. It's kind of a little jumbled, like, because they have a stream that there's no commercials, and they're just kind of putting it in. So you might miss, like, one or thing. But if you have a guy first or second group, you're going to see every single shot. I know you kind of do on the PGA Tour, but it just feels a little bit better. I kind of enjoyed it. I thought the course was, like, kind of cool to a certain extent. I don't dislike watching Live if I have a wager on it, which I think is kind of, other than people on Twitter that like it, I think the only other people really watching are guys that want to bet on it. But Sergio Garcia wins. I'm glad he ran away with it. I was pretty upset about Paul Casey on Saturday night after a couple beers, but it was fine. What's the deal with Sergio? Is he legit? He's been playing some really good golf. Contending in majors, Bethpage. Like, is this for real? What are your expectations for Sergio for the rest of the year?
I don't know if he's going to like win again on Live, but he's certainly playing well enough to be, I think, in consideration for that Ryder Cup team. And like, they're in a weird spot where, okay, so none of those guys are going to, like, the odds of someone auto qualifying, right, in playing only 4 majors is almost impossible. I know Brooks did it in Rome, but you have to like win one and finish second in like 2 others to be able to do it. It's not going to happen. The probability is it's not going to happen. You've really got to consider taking 3 of them. And you should take Sergio, you should take Rahm, you should take Hatton, and all 3 of those guys. Like, if you're really serious about winning and going to New York and having people that have the moxie and the stones to take on that crowd, you know more than anyone. I think he's a guy that you can throw into that fire. I saw he switched to the blade putter, and that helped him a lot. He was gaining a ton of strokes putting. Still one of the best ball strikers. I haven't watched a ton of Live because I was kind of so locked into Bay Hill, but I think I'm going to go to Miami at the event.
You
It's
should.
close enough to
Definitely
me.
should.
I like to. I don't really the beginning of the season, just overseas, the timing of it being on in the middle of the night doesn't really work for me there.
No.
I want to get glimpses of them before Augusta, right? That's when I like to watch Live. I think that's when they'll probably do their best ratings, is people are like, oh shit, these guys are all coming back to play together. I want to see what they're looking like. I want to see what their form is like before they head to Augusta National. And Sergio is certainly one of the players that keep an eye on. I saw Phil got a podium finish, and I also saw, is Dustin Johnson, did he get beat by Anthony Kim? Is that real?
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
What's going on?
I know
there?
he shot a really low one in the final round, but yeah, after 2 days, he was legit dead last. I mean, terrible course for him, but it's a sad state of affairs. But I mean, it is what it is. I think most people kind of thought that when he went over. I know he won in Vegas last year. He might have won another event, but I'm not going to put a fork in him yet. I think he'll probably have a good finish here and there. Back to Sir, I personally, I don't think he's going to be on the Ryder Cup team. I just think it's very backwards for Team Europe, and it's not John Rahm or Hatton. Sergio has issues with people like in the DP World Tour universe. He's, a controversial figure.
Yeah.
And yes, he's an unbelievable Ryder Cup player, but in 2025, like, I don't think Luke Donald's going to do that, because I just think it's like an added distraction to a certain extent.
Yeah.
And I don't know. The team's like kind of filled out. I don't know. Like, I don't think they're going to, I know it sounds dumb, but I don't know. It's going to be like him, Aaron Rye, or like Dietrich or somebody. Like, yeah, it makes sense to take Sergio.
Yeah,
I just
but
think like politically.
Aaron Rye, is Aaron Rye going to be able to withstand those? Like, I don't know. I agree with what you're saying. It's a risky move for Luke Donald. I know that he initially like rubbed a ton of people the wrong way, including like Rory, who's basically the one that's really running the team, right? I think that they've since mended that relationship from what I've heard. Maybe Rahm kind of helps there, but I think he has more starts than anybody in the history of the European Ryder Cup.
Won the most points ever. Like,
yeah, he's someone that ultimately you want to bring into the fold at some point. Has to be a captain of a team. Like, these guys, to continue to alienate them, I think doesn't make sense for the purpose of that event in particular. So if you have questions on who's playing better, Aaron Rye or Sergio, that's totally fine. But I think for him to just completely write him off because of something that he said or rubbed the wrong way 3-4 years ago is a mistake by them. And he should just really ultimately be putting the best 12 guys out there to win, because that's what I think Keegan's going to do.
Yeah. And you know what? Summer before Ryder Cup, great storylines. Like, I'm in. Like, it is the best on golf Twitter, the summer before Ryder Cup. Anyone who wins, should they be on the team? Like, it's fun. I like it a lot. Everyone's putting their teams out. So I hope Sergio continues this play, because I want a debate. I want a heated Live PGA Tour debate over Thomas Dietrich and Sergio Garcia at Bethpage. Like, I need that. I want that. It's already starting a little bit. Like, I need it a little bit closer. And obviously, I think even he contended in 2002. He was in the, the final group. Not that it really matters. But he was, like, has always been he was good in 2009, and he's been good at Barclays at Bethpage. I think he missed a cut in 2019. I don't know why the fuck I know this. But Sergio, like, actually, Bethpage is a course he's played well on. So that would be very fun. I'm looking forward to that, if that is the case. So we have a huge event this week, the Players' Championship, 5th major. Definitely a top 3 event on the PGA Tour for me, excluding the majors. Like, Riv, this, and I don't even know what,
Maybe
third,
Memorial.
yeah,
Yeah.
Memorial Travelers. But the course is awesome. It usually delivers a really great finish. I know we talked about the course in the beginning. A lot of different kind of trends to look at. A lot of different kind of tee time stuff to look at. Got to be a major champion. Got to be hitting your irons well. Can't have good course history. This is kind of a free for all in terms of who can win. I know we've had big winners, but I think more than most events, you could kind of land on a lot of people to win the players, even though world number ones have really historically won it recently. But it's kind of a wide open week. I don't know if you feel the same way.
Yeah, I think from a like looking at skill profiles or particular areas, I think there's a lot of different skill sets that can compete here. I think more than anything, you got to be in control and playing well coming in. Not a place TPC Sawgrass that you show up and find something on the range that week if you haven't been playing well the previous month before. I think looking at, I saw you tweet out earlier today, like your card from last year. I had the same three guys. I feel the same pain, but it was like they were sprinkling crumbs, right? Like Wyndham finishing second at Bay Hill last year before he shows up here and plays really well. Even Brian Harmon, like
Played
out
well
of
at Bay Hill.
nowhere, played
Played well at
really
Bay
well
Hill.
at Bay Hill. And then I'm seeing like 100-1 at TPC Sawgrass. And I'm sitting there like, I think he parred 16. Like if he could have made that birdie,
He like
he's
missed a
right
couple
up there.
early ones.
So that one hurt too. But yeah, I'm looking at like very short term. How have they been the last month? Have they been competing? Are they gaining strokes ball striking? Because if they're losing strokes off the tee or with their irons and it's been reliant mostly upon the putter, I don't really want to take you here. Like Rory, we don't have to get into players yet, but I'm totally out on Rory this week.
Yeah, I'm totally out on a lot of guys at the top of the board. I feel pretty good about it. Famous last words and everything. But
Yeah.
I haven't bet a ton of guys, but I feel like it's a bit more wide open this year, to be completely honest. And I don't know if you saw the thing. I think it's worth talking about because it's catching legs. 14 out of the last 17 winners of this event have had an AM, PM tee time. It was even a bigger trend until Scotty won last year. Golf Bet Caddy, great TIB listener, great friend, great person. He tweeted it out originally. I mean, he just saw it on Golf Channel, but I posted it over the tee time. It went somewhat viral. And my buddy, who's like casual golf fan, doesn't really bet golf, texts me. He's like, is there something with the wind with this tee time? Like, what?
Yeah.
Why is it 17-14? I am personally in the camp. It's like 80% pure coincidence.
Yeah.
Is there anything there for you? Like, it's kind of a bit at this point. Like, if they're PMA and they're dead, like, where are you at on the trend? And is there any reason in your mind that you could come up with that a majority A and PM guys have won here?
It kind of grasping to me, but I just maybe like PM, you're trying, like there's so many players in this field. Maybe when you get off the course, if you have like the afternoon wave on Thursday, you're just going straight home because you have an early morning, maybe less practice in between. The course is kind of interesting where it's like basically 16 holes of a pretty normal TPC course. Like it's relatively easy. But then like the last two holes are so important, and 17 is not hard, but in the environment, that is hard. That is a stressful, like anxiety-ridden shot as much as there is on any place on the PGA Tour, especially when the wind's blowing. So it's a very hard hole. And then 18 is the toughest hole on the course. It just doesn't let up on you. So the close of that tournament is like extremely stressful to players, and it just builds the anticipation like all throughout your round. If you start on one, it's in your mind for 3.5 hours, 17 and 18. So maybe there's something there. I think it's probably
maybe a little bit of a break from TPC Sawgrass. Like if you're PMA, you're going home and then you're waking up early and playing, and you have a little bit of break AM PM. Maybe, possibly.
Probably
I don't know.
mostly weather related. I didn't see that. I remember hearing that trend, but I haven't seen how far it dated back. But I would say unless you see something weather related this year, it doesn't scare me off anyone.
So it's not a cross off for you.
Not a cross off. No.
Not it should it really genuinely should not be, in my opinion. It should not be a cross off if someone's PMA. I would prefer it, I guess, but if I like a guy, I'm just gonna bet him for it.
Yeah.
It's not something I'm super concerned about. Yeah, I don't. Last year was obviously like the worst tournament of my life, but it was good content, and like it was whatever. I vividly remember, the entire day, Saturday night, everything. And that kind of started my hate for Scotty Scheffler. But you know what? I said it. If you bet on golf every week, you're just getting numb to it. Really, you just get numb to it at a certain point. Like paying your bookie, depositing into DraftKings, terrible beats. Like you're just whatever. So I sometimes do get emotional about it, but I just try and keep it chill. But yeah, obviously last year was the worst tournament of my life. And honestly, Joe, straight up, I don't think I'm going to hit a winner this year. Obviously, that's the most likely outcome. But I just think last year was so special, and I had such a good card that there's no way I could replicate it. And I don't believe, I'm doing with the players. It doesn't work like that. So again, the vast majority, I'm not going to win, but I don't think I'm going to win this week. And I know people might listen to this and take my bets. I'm just putting it out there. I don't feel great about this week given what happened last year. I hope I'm wrong, but that is my true gut feeling.
It's a hard tournament to win. There's so many players live, and given like the course doesn't forbid anyone from potentially winning, it's not Augusta National. It's not Oakmont. It's not a U.S. Open where you can kind of narrow the field down to 15 guys who can win. There's a lot. And I felt the same way last year. Like the Wyndham putt on 18, I'm still convinced
he missed a 4-footer for eagle on 2
going in. I know. And then the Scotty hole out, like just completely luck sacking into that hole out. It was all bullshit. But that's what he did last year, and that was his run up into this event. Was everything was kind of falling and breaking, and the answer to every question was Scotty Scheffler. So it'll be interesting to see if. I feel like he was very frustrated right now, but nothing. He's missed a lot of putts. He hasn't chipped one in him forever. So he gets one or two of those things to go his way like he was getting, and he could run away with this thing once again.
I feel good about him not winning this week.
Yeah.
Come on.
I'm not betting it.
Join me. You're not scared. You're not too scared of Scotty this week. Come on.
I'm not scared. No, I'm not scared of Scotty or Rory this week.
Like
I think I think those guys in the 20s, I'm passing by the top 3 guys if you throw Xander in there. And I think the next 3 have really, like, that's where the value is at on the board. And I think that one of those guys can win.
Yeah, like Scotty came into this event. He putted unbelievably at Bay Hill. He had that momentum with the putter. And the
mallet switch, right?
Well. And he's not coming in with good putting momentum. He's not going to, 3 in a row would be unbelievable. Like, Steve Stricker won fucking John Deere 3 times in a row. Like, you can't win the players. Whatever. I said this last year.
Back to back was like impossible here.
So I feel good about it. Rory, he's tinkering. I'm fine crossing him off. This could come back to bite me. And I know we talked about it earlier. I don't think Colin stands a chance this week. He posted on Instagram. That one hurt. I don't like betting guys after a heartbreaking loss.
Yeah.
Rebound week after. Now, to be fair, Xander did it. He did it. Wells to PGA. Totally granted. But that tournament was over on the back 9. He was never winning. And I kept saying this, and he's like, well, Russ blew Honda. I'm like, he didn't blow Honda. He was never minus 300 to win. He was not in the final group with 2 guys to win. Like, a Russ finishing top 5 at the Honda is like the most average outcome he's ever experienced in his life.
Right.
I know this course is great for Colin, but Colin at 14, best number off a heartbreaking loss?
Yeah.
No. I'm hard out on Colin this week.
Yeah, so I recorded early on like Friday with Dan Rappaport, and Colin was 20-1. And he was like leading the Bay Hill and tee to green, but he like wasn't a favorite to win at that point by any means. At that point, I didn't bet it, but I was like kind of making a take. Like, I think I like Colin in this range at 20-1. I'm not going to take 14. I'm not going to take 14. I'd rather have Ludwig or JT.
Yeah, no, I agree with you there. So are you in on Ludwig 100%, 20 to 1, 22 to
I'm in
1?
on JT at 22.
Okay.
I'm most likely going to be in on Ludwig. Those are probably going to be my
Okay.
two. I'm
So
probably just going to take
what's
both.
your JT case? Why are you in on JT this week?
He's just been the best. I think he's been the best approach player on the PGA Tour. He's trending. He's in the right direction. Everything he does, he's flirting around with top 10 finishes in all big fields. I think that he's putting it significantly better than he has before. I think the Players is a great course for him and his like around the green sand scrambling ability. Like he just needs he needs a Henley eagle chip in. He needs a Morikawa hole out bunker shot. He needs a Scotty Scheffler one where he drains one from 150 yards in the fairway. He just needs that moment. And I trust his guts down the stretch in terms of hitting those big shots on 16, 17, 18 that are required. It just he's good in Florida. He's good on Pete Dye. Checks a ton of boxes for me. The only thing that I'm worried about is his miss is pretty big off the tee when he does miss. But you could say the same thing about Ludwig. Like Ludwig will hit 4 fairways and stripe it down the middle in a row, and then he'll miss one by a mile. Like he'll hook
Yeah.
one way left and bogey a par 5, and then he'll have the occasional like he'll stick 3 wedges in a row, and then he'll just chunk one like fat in the water. Like Scotty doesn't do that. Scotty doesn't just chunk a wedge randomly. So I love him, but I think that there's still room for growth there. And I think the case for him is probably like a better talent level than those other guys, where if he gets it right, like he did at Genesis, I think he can win. Obviously, he makes his home now in the Ponte Vedra area.
Been
Talked about
playing it a ton, reports. The
yeah.
reports are he's like played it like 20 times in the
And
past
he's
year.
been practicing like short-sighted around the green shot. So he's got to avoid that disastrous big miss here. And so does JT. But I think I'm okay with rolling the dice on either one of those guys. Because my other option is Morikawa. Because I'm not going to take the top 3. I'm not going to take Xander.
Yeah.
And I just don't feel great about Morikawa now at 14 to 1. And you have some sort of mental narrative block building with especially his reaction on like how it stung so bad this week.
Yeah, it's tough to bounce back from that. And
It is.
also, and again, I bet based off vibes a lot, but this year I've really tried to be like guys not off a heartbreaking loss, guys that didn't blow it in the tournament last year. I just don't like that. When you go to an event with extra expectation, oh, I played really well here last year, I should have won here last year. It doesn't necessarily pan out that well. So I'm kind of out on that. Ludwig, I like, and I think it makes sense. He showed he could contend here, finished 9th here last year. He's played well on shorter courses, and he's obviously won on longer courses as well now. I think it's a big ask after winning, second, third most important event on the PGA Tour, Tigers event. To come out and win the Players. But I do think from, a value perspective, 20 to 1, I think it makes sense. And it's very telling, and it's interesting to me how after winning Genesis, his Masters odds didn't move because they were so already artificially low that they're like, we can't move him any lower because he was priced like he already won the Genesis. And you would have thought, oh, after he won Torrey, he's going to be, third favorite here. It's like he was already priced so low that he already was priced like he won those events that his numbers hasn't really changed since he won the Genesis, which is I just think is a little bit interesting, to be honest.
He's still so young and he's making mistakes, but what I love about him is I don't feel like they're compounding scar tissue for him. Like that loss could create some scar tissue with Colin, right? Especially after he's been through a while of not winning and having several of these moments. His mistakes, you can't really see them coming with Ludwig. Like I talked to Keith Stewart last week ago, who will watch him on the range, and he's like, he's fucking perfect. Like he is like Scotty aspires to be Ludwig on a driving range, right? You listen, and I've talked to a lot of the guys who are like with him and been lucky enough to talk to some of them in TGL. And like whether it's Rory or Tiger or anyone, they're like enamored by this guy. They're like, he's literally does everything perfectly, except in tournaments, he makes big mistakes. Like when he made triple bogey and chunked it in the water inexplicably. I think I love the fact that he plays fast. I think at times he could benefit maybe from like slowing down a little bit. And maybe that's a little bit of help from his caddy and making better decisions. But from a strict, how many tools does he have in the garage? As many as anybody, and he can build anything with them. And I think that this could be a year where we see a big move for Ludwig. It's no hot take there, but I think 20-1 is a decent number.
I agree. I think it's a very bettable number. And then it kind of drops off a little bit. I think, I don't think either of us are going to bet Tommy Fleetwood. I don't necessarily think he's going to get his first PGA Tour win at the Players.
Right.
Had a pretty classic Tommy Fleetwood week last week. He's been first round leader here. He's, obviously a good course for him, but I'm going to take a pass on him.
You like Hideki?
Yeah, I think Decky makes sense from a number can win, good outright bet scenario where you'll kind of know early with him. So I think the 28s and 30s that are out there on him are he hasn't played unbelievably well since his win. We would want to see those kind of irons be hot for Decky, and they're not necessarily right now. And this week, genuinely, I almost don't want you to have that good of course history. It makes no sense, but
doesn't matter.
It's totally out there that everyone throws up stinkers at this event. Everyone throws up stinkers at this event. Everyone throws in a miscut there. And this is based off nothing. I just think Decky's due for a miscut here because he actually has one of the most consistent course history at the courses, and it's proven that it's not a place where you're going to have impeccable course history. Just not. So
100%.
Based off absolutely nothing, it just worries me if someone has perfect course history.
Here, for sure.
I really, really like, and I thought it was going to be way more popular. Not that I really care about it. I really like Keegan this week. I think Keegan can absolutely win this tournament. I'm definitely in at 50-1. Not even a question in my mind about it. Talking about coming in with hot irons, led the field or was top 3 in approach last week. Accurate driver of the ball, can get hot with the putter. Has missed his last 2 cuts here. Like, check mark. Love that he missed the last 2 cuts here, but he has some good course history before that. He just kind of made some dumb mistakes last week, and I was tracking him hard, and, he was right in that tournament. And I thought everyone was going to be lining up to bet him this week, and that's not the case. I absolutely love Keegan this week at 50-1.
Okay, I like that. I haven't bet that, but I have a question for you on Keegan. Number 11 in the world right now. If he wins the Players or like a signature event, he could auto qualify for the. Do you think all right, I don't think he's going to pick himself, but if he's in the top 6, what do you do? Do you give up captaincy and you're like, it's been my like lifelong goal and dream to play on this team, and I'm having the best year of my career, which he's trending to be number freaking 11 in the world.
11 in the world's crazy.
Like, if he turns into a top 10 player and gets like the 6th spot on the team, I think that there is a place where he's like, I'll captain in 2 years. I'm playing so well right now. Who
the hell is going to be the captain? Stu Sink?
I mean, who's his assistant right now?
I don't know.
It's John Wood or something, the caddy.
Kiz?
It is Kiz.
I love that Keegan said, I'm only going to be on the team if I auto qualify, and I'm not going to pick myself. I love that. That's what he should say. That is the right thing to do. I don't know if he would auto qualify if he won the Players. If he won a major, for sure.
Be pretty close, man.
But in just straight up pure OWGR, again, it's crooked. I understand that. 11 in the world, it's like 6 Americans ahead of him. Yeah. Like, who would you rather have on the team? Genuinely, it's going to be like him or Mav, him or like Akshay. Yeah, I don't know. It's close.
I know.
It's close. So I don't I think Keegan's gonna win this week. If he does, great content for the rest of the year.
Yeah.
So I'm not really worried about it, but I really think Keegan is very, 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 very live to win this week, and I feel great about it. Feel great.
Yeah. It's like a for sure narrative that if he's close is going to continue to like probably be a distraction internally for him. But I mean, it's right on the borderline. Like right now, that last spot is between him and Wyndham. Like I think he's playing better than Wyndham right
I
now.
don't want Wyndham at Bethpage.
Yeah,
He could be
but
on the
okay.
team,
So
but
your five like locks for Otto are probably Morikawa, Xander, Scheffler, JT. I'd say is close to a lock,
Pat.
and like Henley now that he won like a big one. But then it's like Keegan, Wyndham, Cantlay. Cantlay's not a lock, and then obviously Bryson and Brooks are probably like for sure autos, right? Would you agree there?
I don't think Brooks is at all.
You don't think so?
No, I don't.
Not even a bet page?
Bryson is on my team. Brooks, I don't care. Look, I don't know. He needs to do something in a major. He's done absolutely nothing since he won PGA. And I'm sorry, that's what you're based off of. And it's great that you won Liv Sentosa, but I don't know. He hasn't been unbelievable in Liv. Like, and he wasn't impressive at Marco Simone. He beat Ludwig in singles. Like,
he wasn't. Him and
but
Scotty
again,
lost by like 8.
like, do I
together.
want him or Akshay on the team? Do I want him on Mav McNeely? Yeah, probably BK. I probably want Brooks on a course he, absolutely dominated, set the scoring record at. Yeah, I'm fine with it, but I need more from him. He's not on my team right now. He's not.
We need a good. I think he's going to show up in the majors this year. I think
hope
he's going to show up.
I hope he does. He really should.
Yeah.
I know he's very popular this week. Going to be most tipped by a mile. Already won this year. Were you on him at Amex?
Who?
Sepp?
Oh, Sepp. No, yes. I'm sorry. I was on Sepp at Amex. I'm not on him this week though. He's
out
too
on like you got your
hot.
Sepp money this year.
Yes. Too hot. Too hot. Matt Gannon was like kind of like hot on the golf tips checker, and like I'm usually like a victim to this. Like whoever everyone else likes, I like too, and they're usually on my cards. Like I usually have 3 or 4 guys from that card. They almost never hit.
I have fought Matt on it. I've realized not that I've made a lot of good bets this year. My best bets of the year have not been on the chart. But I don't know. Sepp just feels like, is he really going to win the Players? Like probably not. He's like, I think he's over the last 24 rounds, like has the most total strokes gained. Like he's playing really, really good.
I know he is.
It just, I don't know. It might be too much too soon. I talked about it last week. I think historically he's not a good putter, and he's just kind of riding a hot putter and that kind of regressed a little bit. Did he putt well last week?
Oh. Let's see. Where's he at? Sepp Straka. Yes. He gained 6.2 strokes.
Okay.
Putting.
Yeah.
Hot
I don't
putter.
know. He's a good outright bet, I think, in terms of just boom or bust. Can win, can lose. Like, you'll know early. He's not going to, he obviously could, but he's not going to finish T27. It's like he'll either be in contention to win or he's just going to have a normal week. So I understand the bet. I don't know if he's going to win the Players. I think he could, but I'm not there yet. Does Shane Lowry have a winning problem? Can Shane Lowry win this week? Is he ever going to win in the States? I think he has a serious question mark next to his name.
Another guy who like played. It's crazy that he's just like a victim sometimes, almost like Russ in a way of like where his good round and where his bad round came in the tournament. So if his like shitty round came round 1 and he battled back to a T7, we'd love Shane Lowry this week. We'd be making Florida narratives. He played the Cognizant. We'd be all over him. But the fact that he like jumped out, had his good rounds early, and then faltered on Saturday really bad. We hate the T7. But I like guys who played both Florida events typically here. 11th and 7th is nothing to like discount here. So in control of his golf ball, though lost it a little bit with the driver. I'm not there in like the 30 to 40 to 1 range, but I don't think he's a terrible play.
So he might be on your card, or you can.
No, he won't be on my card because I'm pretty locked into JT Ludwig. I
So
like
you
it's gonna.
want to be a little bit more down the board.
Yes. Yeah.
No,
I was thinking Sam Burns randomly. Like, do you hate that pick?
I mean, he lost like 10 strokes ball striking last week. I think
Yes.
like the first thing you said, like you're not gonna find it here.
Okay.
So, like just based off what
Yeah.
you went on, he hits a lot of water balls. I don't know. I think I've given up. I think he might be Colin in terms of kind of won every time he was in contention for a 2-year stretch there,
Good
and it's
point.
just law of averages is kind of coming out. But I'd chase the Burns number forever because he's usually at a good number and he can win, and that makes you an easy outright bet. So I understand that. Where are you at? I'm another guy I'm 100% betting. Might be like lower end of the chart, not super popular, but he makes sense. Dan Berger this week, I'm 100% betting him. I bet him the last 2 events, so just based off that, I'm not gonna hop off. Good course for him, 100%. Good Bermuda putter, Florida guy, through and through, and played really bad in the first round. At Bay Hill, which is not an unbelievably good course for him, and battled back to a really good finish. 70 to 1, I bet on FanDuel. I'm fine
Yeah.
with it to 50 to 1. I'm definitely in on Dan Berger. I think he's very live to win.
It's a good price, and I think I'm probably going to get there as well. He's on my short list right now. Even the stat model I ran, he ranks 4th. I'm still have got, speaking of scar tissue, some personal scar tissue from the COG because I felt like he was like I
I
had that
texted you. I
take
was so
for
mad.
like a month that he was going to win that event, and it felt like he was there. And I watched it very closely, and I think he was. I'm almost certain, without talking to him and confirming this, that he like got sick mid tournament because he looked terrible.
No, he was
But
still a little sick on Thursday, and now he's good.
yeah, no, I think he's fine there now at this point. It's just he's a battler, man. And I love his guts and the fact that I think he'll go for it. And I think 70 to 1 is a good price. You're right. You bring him into Florida events just like Shane Lowry, and I think he makes it a good pick.
Yeah, I'm in. I really, truly kind of an open book this week. I don't know who else I'm going to bet. It is early, but Keegan, Berger, 100% on the card. No one else I'm really married to at the moment. So we'll see. I could be in on Mav. I don't like that he played well here last year. He's probably due for a stinker. Bay Hill was obviously not great for him. Want guys coming in a little bit of form, but I think that what he did at Torrey, I know that's an unbelievable course for him and a special place for him, but I could be in on Mav like 65, 70. I feel okay about it. Aaron Ride makes a ton of sense. I think he'll be on my first round leader card. I don't know if I'm gonna get there with an outright necessarily, but I was impressed by his game last week. I bet him last week. Dad Golf absolutely loves him this week. He was one of the biggest value plays, and I know they've done well with that this year. Any interest in Aaron Rye at the Players?
So I was looking at both. I had actually initially wanted to kind of I thought that Tom Kim was a decent bet. I was looking at like 80 to 1 on Tom Kim. And then I looked kind of like all the reasons that I would like Tom Kim here are the reasons that I should love Aaron Rye here. I think he's at 90 to 1 in some spots, Aaron
Yeah.
Rye. So yeah, I think between those two, you look at T4, T10 in his last couple of starts, he makes a lot of sense. What do you do with Mike Kim? Is he worth backing?
I think he can win, Valero. I think he can win like Valero
Yeah.
or Valspar. Like I'm not like I would much rather, even though it's a shit number, I would much rather bet, and he will be. I would much rather bet Mike M35 at the Valspar than 80 to 1 this week. Would be
Yep.
my take. That's how I feel about it, and I'm really impressed with him. Shout out Mike Kim. After he said that Cam Smith's shot at the Open wasn't that hard, I kind of been sour on him, but nothing but respect for Mike Kim. He is golfing his ball right now, and it's awesome to see because he used to be like the guy who won the John Deere in 2018, and like that's all he had to cling to, and he would just tweet about it all the time, and he was just like a middling tour pro. And now he's like, no, like people know who Mike Kim is. He's playing really well, so I'm very impressed by his game. I'll bet him. I'll probably not. I would bet him 35 to 1 next week. 30.
Yep. Love that.
Is Hovland dead?
For right now, Yes. I have no interest in him at any price.
Hit the ball really well last week. Isn't that the hard part of golf, Joe?
Yeah, and he did, and I have to like he rates out insanely well, like stupid well in the bet spurts model that I ran. And I just have to I have to try to force myself to ignore it and just wait till I see a good what did he finish last week?
He missed the cut.
Oh, he missed the cut. Yeah, I can't bet him. I can't bet him. I can't bet
Okay,
him until he makes a cut and feels what it's like on Sunday, especially in an outright. But he might have a decent like matchup price or something like that that might be worth it.
yeah. I do think that it's too much for him right now. But I was impressed by the ball striking, and it's easier to flip the putter than be a Sam Burns and lose 10 strokes ball striking. Any past champ interest in Ricky or Adam Scott? Ricky's playing really well right now. I think that's going a little bit under the radar how well Ricky Fowler is playing
Yep.
this week. In general this year. And I know, we kind of had that off year, but, the week before that, he almost won a major. Can he win? Probably not, but I could see Ricky contending this week, 10-year anniversary. I feel good about that.
That was a fun one too. He's repeating on the playoffs. Was that against Serge?
Sergio and I ruined it. The third person in that playoff was Kevin Kisner.
Oh yeah, God.
Like
That's
unknown
right.
Kevin Kisner. True unknown Kevin Kisner. He was
Yeah.
not a known golfer at that point. Adam, who finishes better this week, Adam Scott or Ricky Fowler?
Ricky.
You don't trust Scott's game right now?
No, I don't. I don't trust. I feel like he's battling his irons. I feel like he's not putting it very well like he was for a while. He actually turned himself into a pretty reliable putter. And I think it was going to come on the West Coast for him versus Florida. So I'm out on Scotty.
Anyone over 120 that you're interested in? I think Andrew Novak could have a very good week. I feel good about Andrew Novak. I know it's kind of a bit at this point, but I think Novak could play really well on this golf course. Any love for anyone else? And then maybe we'll talk some TGL.
I like Bez. I like
Okay.
Bez. I know he's doing it all with the putter, but back-to-back top 15s here. He's played both Florida events. Not like great, but 22nd at API. I mean, I don't think he's an awesome outright bet because I just don't think he's going to win. But I think he could make a decent top 20, top 40, or you play him in like a DFS type deal.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it's a good course for him. He popped last week. I don't know what he finished, but he played well in the first, 2 rounds or so. And this is a solid spot for him. So we have the TGL playoffs coming up. Starts next week. Do you know the schedule off the top of your head and the matchups?
Yes. So it is. So it's Bay versus Atlanta.
Okay.
And then it's New York versus why am I blanking on the other team?
LA.
New York, LA. Yep.
And it's
I
just
like
straight. It's just straight Monday, Tuesday, and then the final.
Yep. So it's Monday, Tuesday are going to be the each one of the semifinal matchups. LA's got the 1 seed. Not that it really matters. There's no home games. But then the following week, the finals is actually best of 3. So
Good.
it'll be
It
Monday,
should
Tuesday
be
as
that.
well. Yeah, it'll be Monday, Tuesday as well. So Monday will be game 1. Tuesday will at 7:00 will be game 2. And then if necessary, they're going to go right after at 9 for the final game.
So, who do you like? Who have you been most impressed with going to these TGL events? Like, I'm in on the TGL. I enjoy the TGL. What what has stood out to you the most covering it?
We're gonna miss it, man. I'm telling you, I'm gonna miss it. I'm gonna want something to do on Monday and Tuesday nights, and I'm gonna be like, I missed when TGL was here because it provided such good content and moments and viral, clippable little moments. I've been on the Bay all year. I
You
had
were
them.
early on the Bay.
Yes, I was
You're
early on the
not on
Bay.
the bandwagon. Like I
Me and
just want to
Mayo did
confirm.
a preseason TGL preview in like December, and we were both like, the Bay is the team to beat. It's silly how they were like 5th on the preseason odds. It was insane. But that's my squad. I wish they weren't playing Atlanta because Atlanta, I think they're actually the best team with JT and Cantlay because Cantlay is such a shark with the
Yeah.
fucking hammer. Like he has every scenario and probabilities in like just dialed in, where I think it's like the biggest variable in this is like who uses it effectively and can like come through with a 2 or a 3-pointer usually makes a difference in these matches. But the Bay should get Ludwig back. Should be Ludwig, Lowry, and they probably sit Minwoo Lee. So
Yeah,
they'll have Wyndham out there, and
I thought
Wyndham.
that was really funny when I don't know who asked them, but they asked Atlanta who was sitting, and they're like,
Oh,
"It's
I
all."
did. That was me.
Okay, that's where I saw the clip,
And
and they're like,
they tried to say it was like the team owners.
"What did you?
There's no
What
way.
was that about? Was that real?"
I don't know. It felt like it was genuine because it was like it was Horschel who answered it, and there's been multiple times where like Horschel will just speak, and it feels like people look at him like he shouldn't have said that. But he was like, "Yeah, it hasn't been up to us all year." But I don't believe that's true. I think all three teams are just like, I just wish he couldn't really say like we're gonna bench Lucas Glover because he's boring and he's the worst guy on our team.
Yeah. How has he
Probably
been?
what
How has he been?
Lucas,
Golf wise.
in TGL or in
In
general.
TGL.
He's been okay. I don't think he's been bad. I mean, they've been really good with him, but it's not like they're gonna sit Cantlay or
Yeah,
JT.
no,
And
agree.
Horschel's been so good,
Yeah,
so they're gonna bring
Atlanta's
him.
my favorite team. By the way,
Yeah.
that is a team I like. I like the most golfers on that team, and I like watching them play. So I'm excited for that next
Yep.
Monday. I do think that ATL is up for a bit of maybe an upset there. I don't know what the odds are.
Yeah.
I assume
I
that
wish Bay
the
didn't have to
Bay's
play
minus
Atlanta
130,
because New
maybe.
York's terrible. They're not gonna win.
What do you see them doing next year with the teams? Do you think guys like Kisner and Glover, I don't know who else, are just like out? Like, are they okay with that? How much does Lucas Glover really care? Like, do you think these teams are going to be way better next year? I personally, I don't think they're going to get like Scotty and Spieth. Maybe. I don't know. But, I think they could fill out some of these teams a little bit better. What is your kind of read on the teams next year?
There will be some players that change. I don't know about Lucas Glover because Lucas Glover, like, he loves it. I think there's some guys maybe that don't necessarily love it, that might not be back, that maybe haven't enjoyed it like they thought they would. I don't think Adam Scott's really enjoyed it. This is just, not that he's told me this. It's just I don't think Max Homa's really enjoyed it that much. So those
Cam
guys,
Young?
what's that? Oh, Cam Young, he should not be in the league. It's crazy that he's in the league. He's not only playing bad, he just doesn't. He's not built for that. Be mic'd up. Kisner,
and he, like, actively doesn't want to do it.
Kisner should just be Marty Smith because Marty Smith is questionable.
Kisner's gone, right? He's got to be gone next year. There's no way he's around.
I think they add 2 teams. I think there's a lot of players.
I think they should. Towards the end of the season, I was kind of like, this is it. Like, I've seen all these teams. I kind of want a little bit more.
The only thing that's nice about it is it keeps the season short and meaningful, I think, for them, because with 6 teams, they only play each other once. They play 5 games, and then you're straight into playoffs. Start to add more teams. I think you've probably got to expand the regular season. They become a little less meaningful. Like every game doesn't quite matter as much. And I think that probably they see a little bit of ratings dip season 2 anyways, like everything does. So, but I know that in talking to guys, like when they walk into a locker room after TGL, a ton of players are like asking them about it. And they're like, I want to do it. I want to get in there. Can I come in and hit shots in there with you? Like, could we do a bros night out? Like, I think that if they said we're taking applications for season 2, I think there would be a long list of players that submit a resume.
I agree. And I also think it ending next week or in 2 weeks is perfect. I think that's
perfect.
Good length.
Perfect. We'll see you next January.
Too long at all. So you think maybe the guys that are out aren't necessarily the worst players, even though, guys like Max Homa and Cam Young might be right now. You think it might be guys that just don't enjoy it as much, and Kisner will be gone.
Yeah, and the travel, like I think it's more difficult for some guys than it is in others to get there on a Monday night in Palm Beach. Like the guys who live in Arizona, Fleetwood, for example, like seems to really like it, but obviously has had a pretty limited schedule and had to back out of the 1 week because he had commitments over in Europe. So it's like I think that's tough for them. Even Wyndham talks about, and Wyndham freaking loves TGL, but he's like, I live in Arizona, like coming over here on Monday, getting out at 9, flying back home or flying to the next tournament, like takes a toll on you. Like Wyndham and Shane were kind of joking about it because Lowry just gets to home, like go home and sleep in his bed, and Wyndham is like hopping on a flight immediately after TGL and trying to get there on a flight. So it's just different for every guy. I think the travel more than anything it probably weighs on them a little bit.
Yeah, no, I agree. And honestly, like looking at it this year, I never thought anyone was doing anything crazy. I think the schedule was kind of worked out well. Obviously, they planned it and they weren't going to do it if not. But I never was like, oh, he's really going to TGL and then he's going back to play this event. Like, I thought it was scheduled pretty well, to be completely honest. So I'm excited for season 2. I'm excited for the playoffs. Your content's on it has been great.
Thanks, dude.
And I'm glad we could chat about it. I know the tickets are expensive, but I would love to go one time and check it out and be down in West Palm.
Get you. Listen, we got spots in the media center.
Yeah, no, you
get a spot in there easily. They hate us back there. The old golf, traditional golf media hates me and Matt and Keith in the back of the room, but we're there and we're asking questions.
It's been great. It's been awesome, and I mean, there's for you to go ask Tiger Woods a question there's nothing more you could want. I remember your profile picture, it might still be, was you with a selfie with Tiger like at Honda or whatever event, and now like you're interviewing him. So that's crazy. The TGL is just unbelievable. It's amazing. That's great. I'm happy for you and Matt and Keith and everybody that get to be surrounded by it every week. But appreciate you coming on. Sorry I kept you a little bit long. Obviously, everyone go check out Preferred Lines. I like Dan Rapp. I'm excited to listen to it. I didn't want to get your takes before, but always a great listen for me. So everyone obviously go check it out and listen. And I hope I could catch the invite soon. I'll come on for the team event. Zurich Classic, like some shit event, like whatever you want. I'll make an appearance. It's no issue.
We'll schedule a big one right after we get off here. We need to get you on here soon.
So we'll see everyone next week for the Valspar. I'm having Tom and Marty's on.
Oh, nice.
You know him.
Hell yeah.
I've been hyping it up. I'm very excited to have him on this week because he's a hilarious follow on Twitter. So I'm looking forward, and then we're kicking into Masters gear. So we'll see everyone next week. Thank you, Joe, again for coming on, and thanks for everyone who listened. And we'll see you next week.
Peace.